This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hi, everybody. Cheryl K. Unleashed. I'm back. It's my second show after my recovery, and I'm here with Michelle Fern. She's going to be joining us. And we thought we would kick off this summer. We're talking about getting our pets ready for travel, for the summer heat, going on vacation, and all the things that would be beneficial and make life easier and smoother when you have a pet and you are traveling with the pet. A lot of people this time of year, the kids are off from school, they go cross country or they take long trips. They go on kayaks, they go on trips that, are near a lake. So number one, I would think, well, first of all, let me welcome Michelle and say, hi, Michelle. Why don't you say hi to
everyone. Nice to be here, Cheryl. I love Unleashed.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to be back after my recovery that went on for too long.
We're glad you're back.
So let's get a list of what we think that an animal, traveling with your animal, whether it's a cat or a dog, would need to make life easier and smoother and certainly calmer if the worst scenario should happen. Number one is being chipped. I mean, an animal today must be chipped. If you love your animal, you will have them chipped.
True, but for just talking about we're going on a trip, I think number one, or we'll say number 1.5 maybe, is make sure you chipped or have some kind of identification that's not going anywhere. So a super secure collar or chipped if you don't have a dog chip. Some people just don't or they can't. So number 2 though, or 1.5 should be first aid kit.
Definitely.
Always have a first aid kit. I had on Best Bets for Pets, I had a first aid kit that had this great powder. I think it was called Clotted. So if your animal starts to bleed, you just sprinkle some of this powder and it stops it. And it's fantastic. But the first aid kit also has, the bandage for doggies or cats that you have to wrap around so that they can't rip it off, and has a couple of other things in there. But travel, take a first aid kit. Sometimes you're not going to be in an area where you can get to a vet. And there's, little scissors. I think there's little tweezers, in case something gets caught in your pet's paw pad. So first aid kit is crucial.
Right. I mean, I carry one in my car for me. And when I've traveled, even when I've been to Europe, I always had a first aid kit. Not anything major, but certainly, you need those things because, when you're on vacation and you get sick or something happens, the little things you would want, just like you would bring a sewing kit, when you go away sometimes. If you're going away for 3 weeks, a sewing kit is not a big thing. I mean, if you're going away and you're going to wear like buttons and stuff like that. So definitely, if you can, first of all, your animal should be chipped regardless, but let's just forget that. But you should also have the identification, whether you keep it in your car, in your phone, just like you have on your house. Like, God forbid there's a fire or something happens. It's a notice to the police. There are like 2 cats and 3 dogs, or, there's a horse in the barn, get us out.
So wait, so what are you saying? Identification. So if you leave your house and leave your pets with a sitter, have something?
No, the pet is with you, but, these are identifications. You don't need the, your pet's name, the address, just in case something happens. You should always have that. Because a lot of people go camping and you're not really in an area where if something happens to your pet, you should, if you're going to be in an area that you're going to stay in, there's vets all over.
So on the collar, make sure on the collar there's some kind of identification, phone number or something.
Your number, somebody's number.
I'm big on numbers because I don't like addresses these days.
No, you wouldn't use it. I don't even use an address on my luggage. It's a phone number. That'd be crazy. And they have this new gizmo now for taking out ticks. You just, we used to use, oil, or you light a match and you put the match and it brings its head up. This thing is kind of like, I don't even know what you would call it, but it kind of goes around the tick and you just turn it and the tick comes right out, and I guess you put it in baby oil or drown it or whatever. But ticks this time of year, and what they're saying is there are new ticks out there and they are deadly. Lyme disease, forget that. These are worse than that. So you really have to be careful. And of course, if you're going to be going into the forest or camping and you have a long-haired dog, it would really be something smart to do to groom your dog before you go. Because this way, if there's anything that falls on the dog or gets on the dog or cuts the dog, you'd be able to see it easier than, traipsing through, a long-haired dog. I mean, we're talking summer now, so it would be wonderful. And I also think gear a vest for water. With everybody having pools, a dog should know how to get out of the pool, where the steps are. You train them where the steps are first. This way, when they go in, they know where the steps are, because they just jump in the pool, and they will just jump in the pool because you're in the pool or they're hot. They don't have the capacity, many of them, to go to the side of the pool and just jump over. So teaching them where the steps are is good. Just like I used to summer up in upstate New York, and there was a dock. And the dogs all would jump off the dock, and then they would swim to the shoreline. It wasn't beachy, but it was a shoreline, so they were able to get out. So that, and always have water. Just like you would always have water on a hike for yourself, you must always have water.
Well, I also think what you need to do when you're traveling with your pet, some people bring their pets to a place to be taken care of or travel with the pets. Make sure you bring enough food that's close or similar to the type of food if it's not readily available. For example, if you purchase the food only from a vet, you might not have access to a vet's office, only markets. So it's good to have a good enough supply of food with you to last the dog during the trip, if possible, because switching food can make your dogs' stomachs are more sensitive than ours. They like to eat the same thing.
Right.
And so this way it will alleviate, any stomach issues. And if you have to, switch to another food, same some of the old food, and you know how you taper it off, mix it together, and so they get used to the new food.
Right. That's a very good idea.
That's a good one. Bring similar treats. Bring a toy so the dog doesn't get nervous in the car. Bring a toy or a blanket or something that they lay on so it has their smell. So I'm in a warm area. I don't really drive with my dogs that much, but when I do, if I were to take a long trip, I would definitely bring a blanket or something that, he's familiar with, because sometimes he's nervous in the car.
Right.
And this way,
that's a very smart idea. We'll be right back after the sponsor.
Sit. Stay. We'll be right back after a short pause. Well, 4 to be exact.
Not pumped about cleaning the litter box? Try World's Best Cat Litter Zero Mess, the litter that gives you 2 times better clumping and more odor control with less litter. That's right. You scoop once and you're done. No chiseling, no scraping, no crumbling, no problem. Looking for fast and easy litter box cleanup? Zero Mess. Try it. You're welcome in advance. Save $2 on World's Best Cat Litter. Visit www.saveonworldsbest.com.
They wake me up every morning. Their tails are always wagging. They're just running constantly and chasing, shadows and sticks. Their coats are much better. They're very happy dogs. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
DINOVITE.com.
I have 3 dogs, golden retrievers. And I make their own food, ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops. It takes a few minutes every week. Before the Dynovite, they were overweight. They slept all the time, so now they jump all over me when I'm putting it in their bowls. They're crazy about this food, and their vet said that it's so much healthier for them. Go check out Rescue Dogs. They're just waiting to be loved. Get them started on this Dynovite diet, the health food for animals, and you'll see amazing results.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
We're back and we're talking about making sure our pets are safe on family vacations, summer vacations, cross-country trips. And Michelle was just talking about she brought up car. So, of course, we have to get into, we do not leave our animals in a car. They're not hot dogs.
But no, and then before we get to talk about that, though, I just want to mention, look for travel products that are going to be really helpful when you travel with your dog. On Best Bets for Pets, there's been a lot of different types of travel products over the years. I know one that comes to my mind because I've used them a lot. Solvit has a lot of good travel products. For some people, depending on the type of car you have, you might have one of these little fur babies that jumps all over the place. They have straps so you can strap
you need a
them
harness.
in.
That's the safest
Harness
thing.
is good. You might have some, old Mr. Zeus from even as a young pup. He sits on the floor behind the driver's seat and that's it. He does not move. He's a freak. Most dogs are not like this. They like to jump all the ways out. I had a scare years ago where the window was only maybe half down. My dog actually jumped out of the car. This was on a mountain and was like dangling. I noticed it was crazy.
Closed. Windows that they
closed
cannot,
or just a little crack.
right? Because they jump out and they could get.
Yeah, she was dangling by a leash. It was instant, and she didn't get hurt, thank God. But
No,
still,
but
another car could have
there
came by.
are plenty of videos online to show you what could happen.
Terrible. But before you get on, Cheryl, but check for travel products that make it easier for you, whether it's harness or the dividers that separate, or if, you're fussy about your car, they have certain blankets that will, keep it
They have
clean.
these
There's all
comfort.
kinds of
They have
things.
these comfort vests that because a lot of my friends, their dogs get really crazy during fireworks or thunder. They call them a thunder vest. For some reason, it comforts the dog to have it wrapped. But when I was driving down here from New York, I did do, around my neighborhood, maybe 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't enough because it was a long ride. It was me and 2 cats. And it was torture for me because they meowed, and torture for them because they did not like country music. They didn't like my music at all. They didn't like any music. They never used the litter box. It was just, it was too bad,
Smelly trip?
No, they didn't use it at all. And I stayed over at friends' houses because it was during Katrina. So, I only went as much gas as I could get till the next gas station. And I wanted to wait till everything passed. But I did stay at a motel, 2 nights. Red Roof allows pets. But I had to make sure that there was no underneath the bed. And I was very, very sneaky because as soon as I fed them, I would put them back in the carrier. And they were very content, So certainly with a dog, definitely get them used to driving in a car. Make it a pleasant thing. A lot of dogs think when you put them in a car, you're going to the vet and they get crazy. And you're not. Maybe you're going to the dog park. But if you get them used to being in a car, they'll be much better. Because who wants to take a trip with a howling dog?
Yes, get them used to the car. Also, folks, even though your dog may like it, it's not wise to have the window open with their head out. A lot of stuff can go into their eyes and irritate their eyes. So,
and their ears are sensitive.
And their ears. So even if your dog likes it, don't do it. And I also, sometimes I'm driving, I see a cute little, fur baby, little small one, and in the lap of someone who's driving. That's another stupid thing. Sorry, but it is stupid. I'm just going to say the word. Because, God forbid you're in an accident and that airbag goes, guess what happens to your little pooch? And those airbags are strong. So don't drive with your dog jumping up on the side next to you. I mean, people probably don't realize it that, I'm not going to get an accident. And probably 99.9% of you won't. But you'll hear on the news that one person had their little pooch as they're driving.
Plus,
and
they're a
then
distraction.
Airbag,
They go by they could go
airbag
by.
pops up. They're strong. That little pooch gets
Or they could
smashed.
go by where the gas pedal or the brake is. Years ago,
That too.
my 21-year-old cat Sandy, and I don't think there was airbags then, but she used to wrap herself and sit behind me, and I would go to toll booths wherever I would go. She was great in the car. She was like hysterical. Nothing bothered her. But when you think about it now, you got to treat them just like you would treat your children. You don't leave your kids in the car. You shouldn't. They should have alarms that if there's pressure in the seats, an alarm goes off when you go to get out of the car, because I don't understand how people forget. They're just ridiculous.
I had a situation a couple of years ago, and, South Florida is pretty warm all year long. That's where our studios are based. And, when I lived in Los Angeles, I would take my dog for car rides, but here I never do it because it's just warm here. We're lucky when we get a cold front and it hits 60, then it's like, ooh, cold front. But otherwise, it's just too warm. And there was a situation years ago where I noticed a car near me and there was this little dog in there, and somebody else stopped by, and I said, I didn't see anybody. I didn't see anything. I said, let me see if there's security. I'm going to go in the mall, see if there's a security. So went in the mall. While I was looking for the security guard, I spent like 3 minutes, did what I had to do, return or something like that, and looked for a security guard, didn't find it. Thought, okay, I've already wasted like 6 minutes. Let me head out. Went out, and there's 2 more people by the car, and the dog is still in the car. So I called the cops, and the police came, and we're all around the car, and the police was trying to open the handles, and the window was a crack open and the sunroof was open a little bit, but trust me, in the car it had to be almost 90 degrees.
Yeah, it
and,
gets hot
and by
really
this
quick.
time, by the time the police came and everything else, because there's a lot of strange people. I mean, I think it's legal in in a lot of states. You've got to check your state laws that you could smash the window and get
I'm
it
not
out.
asking for permission. I'm breaking it with a brick.
So this young guy comes out and he's holding a water, and he said, and the cop said, is this your dog? He goes, yeah. He goes, what's the problem? He said, well, we've been here. Your dog has been here for half an hour without, it was only gone 5 minutes. And the cop looks at the young guy and he goes, you want to repeat that? 5 minutes? You want to repeat that? And he said, the kid goes again, I wasn't gone long. He goes, try it again. Because I knew how long the kid was gone, because I had left, tried to find a security guard, come back, waited for the cop to show up, because people are weird these days. I wasn't sure if just to break in the window or what. I was hoping the person would come up. But people, think about wearing a fur coat and sitting in a 90-degree car, and dogs don't sweat like we do. They sweat really through their tongues, and I think through their paw pads. So no hot cars, no little car rides in the summer unless you're taking your dog somewhere necessary on a trip or the vet or somewhere that they need to go.
Right. They don't need to do errands with you.
No.
That's the bottom line. They're not accessories. It's ridiculous. I mean, we're going to hear about it this summer. There'll be dogs. There'll be kids. The same thing with swimming pools. There'll be kids in the pool. These are all avoidable. It's just not necessary. You don't take your eyes off of kids by a pool, and you don't leave kids in a car. You can't have that much on your mind. If you have that much on your mind, you know what? I don't want you driving at all, because it's just ridiculous. Just like they came up with these things that my car has it, you could see behind you, if there's a kid or anybody walks behind you or a car drives, they should have some kind of an alarm that's triggered from the back seat that, if there's something that's more than 8 pounds in the back seat, an alarm goes off once the door is open.
Okay, well, I think my purse weighs more than 8 pounds, but let's not go there. But I do think that there should be something, and like I said, I think there's laws just about in every state. You have to check your local laws.
I wouldn't check. I'd break the window. It's a window. It's replaceable. I know down here it's allowed. I think I've seen it on the internet. They run this in the summer all the time, reminding people, what would you do? And most cars now, maybe this was years ago with you, most cars now with a Slim Jim, you could get into it.
Yeah, well, that's my situation before that I was describing. That's what the cop was trying to do. But here's another thing. There's a lot of people will do this as a substitute, and this is also pretty stupid. They'll leave the car running with the key in it, lock it, have a second set of keys, and leave their dog in the car with the car running. Well, what if the dog happens to, move the handle on the console so that instead of park, it hits drive or reverse and the car just starts going? Then what?
It's
That's
ridiculous.
another.
There's no reason to bring an animal with you.
Even if you have a doggy carriage or something and it's so hot, it's not going to be comfortable for your dog to be out there and be so hot.
They
Leave
don't
your
need
dog
to
at
go
home.
shopping with you. I mean, It's just, they're not an accessory. I don't care what size they are. But also, if you were camping or you had a cabin in the woods or you're going cross country and you're going to be out west, you got to really be aware of the berries and what your dog might want to nibble on and what animals are there. You have to have them tied. You can't let your dog run loose in the woods. Well, in a national park, you wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
Have your dog on leash. It's always better. I mean, I know some
safety
people,
first.
Safety first. Another thing too, talking about taking your dogs, hiking and camping and everything. Make sure, please check your dog's paw pads. Those little, I don't know, they're weeds or something with the little sticky flowers. They're little sticky things you walk through and you get them on your pants.
Brambles,
and what happens is things get embedded in your dog's paw pad easily, especially if you're like Mr. Z, he has furry paws, and they become an irritant. And the extreme is that your dog might need surgery to get it out. So you don't want to have to go there. And the other is that it's just very annoying and they're going to chew and chew and chew at it. So just, try to make sure that the hair on the dog's paws is cut low if you have your dog with hairy paws, and check their paw pads. Things get stuck up there very easily.
Right.
What about for cats?
Well, you're not going to although, my other 2 cats, I was able to let them out and they stayed with me. But I wouldn't do that. It's just not worth it. First of all, the grass here is different. It's just not worth it with cats. If I'm going someplace and I'm saying I'm renting, a cabin for 2 months or something, I certainly would bring my cats. But I wouldn't let them out. It's just not worth it. Number one, out west, my girlfriend, she got a new couch. And they put the old couch in the garage. And they weren't able to find their cat. They looked everywhere. They called up the trucking company. They thought, maybe the cat jumped in. But they were convinced that a hawk got their cat.
Oh, my God, a hawk?
A hawk.
Took their cat?
Yeah, I mean, you go out west in a camper and the cat's on top of the camper, sunning themselves. There's hawks there. It's prey. Anyway, the cat lived in the couch for 43 days. No water.
In the couch?
In the couch. 43 days. They went in there. They called her. Nothing. She happened to just go in there. She heard the meow. Inside the couch. She was terrified. 43 days. No food, no water. How do you like that?
I don't know how the cat lived.
Cat lived. But they were convinced that they searched and searched and searched. They were convinced that a hawk got it. A little cat, or an eagle. I mean, that's nothing for them. I've seen on the internet eagles attach themselves to goats and try to get them.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, a hungry man becomes a thief, just like a bird of prey. When they're hungry, they'll go for anything.
Okay.
So let's summarize. If you wanted to make a list on what would pertain to you if you were going to go away. I'm not just talking, short weekend, but there are people who are off for the summer and would do a 2 or 3 week vacation with their kids and a pet. And, when you have the kids and the pet, you have to really be organized. You have to, the bowl. So we would
get the bowl, get food, get a travel container if you don't have one.
Right. So
Look for travel products. Like I said, Solvent makes some great ones. So does Cruise, and so does Gamma 2. They just have a lot of great travel products for
they could go
your
to
dog.
they could go to your show. And
go on Best Bets for Pets or go to Pet Life Radio and look up, travel products and different types of products. But
so an emergency kit.
First aid kit is crucial because this one comes with this product. I think it's called Clotted, and it just stops any kind of cut. You just put it there and it stops, and then you have the bandage, and at least you're okay till you can get to a vet if it's a severe cut,
And for ticks, you got to think about ticks for sure.
For ticks,
and you must treat your animal every month. I mean, that is, and these ticks become resistant.
But with either whatever you use, Revolution or
Advantage
Frontline or whatever it is, take care of the ticks and the fleas, because otherwise
this year is going to be terrible.
Go whoosh. It starts out as a little problem and then it becomes an annoying problem, and it just grows exponentially.
Right. I mean, if you've never had fleas in your house, that would teach you. Forget it. It's a terrible thing. I mean, when I got Daniel, they treated him. I never had treated my cats. They never went out. I have a screened-in patio, and it's pet screen, so it's very little, and I missed a month, and ugly. And I spent probably 2 weeks bombing my house. I had them, groomed, and she was kind enough to let me keep them there for a day, and it really was in my patio. What did I know? I bombed my patio 3 times, and I would go out there with white socks, and when nothing was on my white socks, it was clear. It was very, very foolish of me. I never had it even in New York. I never even had that,
Some places get very buggy.
And now I do the perimeter. I also, not only do I do them monthly, but I have a spray that I go around and do the perimeter. And when the exterminator comes, and he uses natural stuff if he comes in my house, but when he does the complex, he will come in the back of my screen patio, and he will do the perimeter also, and the trees. And they say this year is going to be, they have 3 new species of ticks. And, not only can we get sick from ticks, I mean, if you've ever met anybody who has, Lyme disease, and it takes an awful lot to even detect it. You go for a lot of tests before. It's not a happy thing. And these new ones that they're coming out with, they said are even going to be worse for our health. Once you change something on the dial, the other part of the dial starts to go a little wacky.
Okay, so great ideas for any kind of summer travel. Anything in closing?
No, just be safe out there and take care of your pets. And if you can, get them chipped. Certainly you should have something in your wallet or something and this is something important. You should think about who you would like to leave your pet to in case of, God forbid, an emergency. After 9/11, a lot of pets were left, without their owners. And I think that's when fostering, I could be wrong, started, where people would take in pets, that were left behind.
No, it started before that. But what you're saying is, in case I go on a trip, I should think about my will.
No, anywhere. You could go to the supermarket. I think we should think about who you would want to give your pets to in case anything should happen to you.
I think that's another show.
Well, I'm just bringing it up. It's something to think about. Yeah. And next time we have the show, they'll be thinking about it.
Yep.
In closing, I want to wish everybody a happy with the upcoming summer. Wherever you go, arrive safely and be patient. There's a lot of people on the road. I want to thank my producer, Mark. I want to thank Michelle for joining. It's always nice to have you on. And I want to just say, I'm glad I'm back. And let's live life unleashed. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.